This week on Africa Update, Botswana Appeals Court upholds ruling that decriminalized gay sex. Libyan court reinstates Saif Gaddafi as presidential candidate. Chad's military-led government issues amnesty to rebels and dissidents. Plus, Ramaphosa visits Nigeria, asks countries to lift travel ban imposed on South Africa. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Africa Update. I am Iwelia. Thank you for joining. Botswana's Court of Appeal has upheld a 2019 ruling that decriminalized gay sex, a decision hailed by gay community as establishing the Southern African country as a true democracy. The decision in effect struck off two sections of the penal code that had outlawed homosexuality. Before the 2019 High Court ruling, which was praised by international organizations and activists engaging in gay sex in Botswana, was punishable by up to 7 years in prison. The state had argued on appeal that the penal code outlawed gay sex and there was no evidence that people's attitude towards homosexuality had changed. Reading the unanimous decision by 5 judges, Court of Appeal Judge President Ian Kirby said the criminalization of sensual same-sex activities violated the constitutional rights of lesbians, gays, bisexuals, and transgender persons to dignity, liberty, privacy, and inequality. In Chad, the military-led government issued an amnesty to almost 300 rebels and political dissidents. The amnesty meets a key demand of opposition groups invited to a joint roundtable with President Muhammad Idris Deby Itno, who took power after his father was killed fighting insurgents last April. Many politicians see this amnesty as a first step towards national reconciliation. The handover of power to the younger Deby was endorsed by Paris and supported by the European Union and African Union. Considered to have the best military in the Sahel, Chad is a key country in France's anti-jihadist campaign in the region. The son of Libya's longtime ruler Muammar Gaddafi has been given the go-ahead to run in the country's upcoming presidential election, his lawyer said. Saif was disqualified for what Libyan authorities said were war crimes committed during the uprising against his father more than 10 years ago. In disqualifying Gaddafi, Libya's Electoral Commission had pointed to articles of the electoral law stipulating that candidates must not have been sentenced for a dishonorable crime and must present a clean criminal record. Gaddafi, who is wanted by the International Criminal Court for alleged war crimes, had registered to run on November 14 but was among 25 candidates whose bids were rejected by the Elections Board last week. Now, presidential candidates in Gambia ended their campaigns on Thursday ahead of Saturday's elections. From the top of a truck, Gambian President Adama Barrow, who is running for a second term in office, greeted thousands of supporters following him through the streets of the capital of Banjul to McCarthy Square, where he gave his final speech. Barrow warned against complacency and called on Gambians to participate in the elections, vote en masse on Saturday to guarantee a victory. A recent rapprochement between Barrow's National People's Party and the former governing party has cast doubt on the authorities' willingness to right the wrongs of the past in making sure justice is served for the victims of former President Yahya Jammeh. Now, Sudan's military leader has overhauled top intelligence positions, dismissing at least 8 general intelligence officers and replacing the head of military intelligence, according to Reuters. The decision by Sovereign Council head Abdel Fattah al-Burhan comes a week after he struck a deal to reinstate Prime Minister Abdallah Hamdok, who had been placed on the house arrest in an October 25th coup. Of the officers dismissed, 5 were in senior positions and had been in place since before the 2019 overthrow of long-ruling autocrat Omar al-Bashir, Reuters report. It was not immediately clear what impact the decisions could have on the balance of power following Hamdok's return. Hamdok replaced the country's top 2 police officials on Saturday following deadly violence against anti-military protesters in recent weeks. Democratic Republic of Congo President Felix Tshisekedi has agreed to a joint operation with Uganda's army against Islamist rebels accused of suicide bombings in Kampala this month, 2 diplomatic sources said. The Islamic State said their local affiliate, known as the Allied Democratic Forces, were behind a November 16 attack, which killed 7 people, including 3 bombers, and injured dozens more. News reports about the proposed cross-border campaign, which is yet to be announced publicly, has sparked anxiety amongst some Congolese who recall Uganda's role in the brutal civil wars that ended in 2003. Tshisekedi informed the United Nations peacekeeping mission on Friday he had authorized military cooperation with Uganda against the ADF, but did not provide any further details, a senior UN diplomat said. The second diplomatic source said the same, but also had no more details, reports say. Now, Ethiopia's army has retaken the town of Shifra in Afar region, the state-run broadcaster said on Sunday, its first major seizure from rebellious Tigrayan forces since Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed appeared on the front lines 2 days ago. The Tigray People's Liberation Front captured Shifra on the border between the northern Afar and Amhara regions after fighting intensified last month between Ethiopia troops and forces loyal to the TPLF. Ethiopian Defense Forces and Afar Special Forces have controlled Shifra, the Ethiopian Broadcasting Corporation said on its Twitter account. It did not give further details. You're watching Africa Update on Trust TV. Coming up, Ramaphosa visits Nigeria, asks countries to lift travel ban imposed on South Africa. Details shortly. Thanks for staying with us. Here is a recap of the major headlines. Botswana's Court of Appeal has upheld a 2019 ruling that decriminalized gay sex. The son of Libya's longtime ruler Muammar Gaddafi has been given the go-ahead to run in the country's upcoming presidential election, his lawyer has said. Now, moving on, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for a lifting of the travel ban imposed on his country and other sister countries. Ramaphosa said the restriction, which he termed discriminatory, should be reversed to avert long-lasting damage to the economies of the countries affected. The South African leader said this on Wednesday after a meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari at the State House in Abuja. He expressed gratitude at the reception and solidarity by the Nigerian government, a gesture he said sends the strong message in light of the restrictions imposed on flights coming to and from South Africa. President Muhammadu Buhari, on his part, stressed the need for Nigeria and South Africa to strengthen bilateral ties and avoid unnecessary rivalry.
I sincerely wish to thank my brother and colleague, President Cyril Ramaphosa, for honoring my invitation. I equally wish to thank members of the South African delegation and the experts who worked tirelessly during the senior officials meeting. Today has witnessed the signing of a new memoranda of understanding between Nigeria and South Africa in diverse areas, including youth development, women and child empowerment, and political consultations, critical areas that will lead to increased people-to-people contact. Existing memorandums of understanding signed during previous binational commission meetings were also reviewed. These include memorandums of understanding on military cooperation, power, cooperation in the field of geology, mining and mineral processing, oil and gas, and several others. Today, we also jointly launched the Nigeria-South Africa Youth Dialogue, another veritable tool for interaction among our youth with the aim of creating shared values and aspirations.
President Buhari, the solidarity expressed by yourself and the government of Nigeria sends the strongest message. It says that as African countries, we are standing united against the imposition of arbitrary and discriminatory restrictions that are not only unscientific, but counterproductive in the long run. Indeed, the leaders of Côte d'Ivoire, where we are traveling to later today, as well as the leaders of Ghana and Senegal, have also expressed their dissatisfaction with the travel ban against South Africa and our sister countries in Southern Africa. This is a global pandemic, and overcoming it requires that we collaborate and work together as a collective. The resulting damage to this travel ban to the economies of the countries affected will be considerable and long-lasting. So I want to use this opportunity to once again call on the countries who have imposed this ban to reverse their decisions, whether they are in the northern, more developed economies or in other parts of our continent and elsewhere.
Meanwhile, South Africa is being hit by a fourth wave of COVID-19 infections driven by the Omicron variant, which has been detected in 7 of the country's 9 provinces, Health Minister Joe Fowler said on Friday. Omicron, which has raised global fears of a surge in infections, was first detected in Southern Africa last month and has prompted governments across continents to impose travel curbs and take other measures to contain it. Fowler told a media briefing that he hoped that the variant could be managed without causing too many deaths. He urged South Africans to get fully vaccinated, adding that the country could manage the fourth wave without stricter lockdown restrictions over Christmas. Panama on Thursday said it will temporarily ban the entry of travelers from 8 African countries due to concerns over the spread of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. The restriction applies to travelers who have been to South Africa, Botswana, Eswatini, Lesotho, Mozambique, Namibia, Zimbabwe, or Malawi within a 2-week period, Panama's government said in a statement. Panamanians and residents of the country who are vaccinated must present a negative COVID-19 test within 72 hours of arriving in the country, while those who are not inoculated must place themselves in preventive quarantine, the government said. Many other countries around the world have imposed travel curbs since South Africa announced last week it had detected the new coronavirus variant. In a similar vein, the World Health Organization urged countries to boost healthcare capacity and vaccinate their people to fight a surge in COVID-19 cases driven by the Omicron variant, saying that the travel curbs could buy time, but alone were not the answer. Despite shutting its borders to travel from high-risk southern African countries, Australia became the latest country to report community transmission of the new variant, a day after it was found in 5 U.S. states. Omicron has gained a foothold in Asia, Africa and Americas, the Middle East and Europe, and has reached 7 of the 9 provinces of South Africa where it was first identified. Many governments have tightened travel rules to keep the variant out. Now, before the ravages of COVID-19, Zimbabwe's Kombi minibuses served as the workhouses of the country's informal transport network. That changed during COVID-19 when a new state service emerged and the Kombi fleet is now packed. Returning blogger Plot Marco took time out to ensure that the important musical contribution of this enduring cultural symbol does not disappear from the collective memory forever. Take a look. Now, when Emmanuel Orobosa Osaho started FC Lobo as a football hub, it was an academy for boys. Opening to girls rocketed the academy to local stardom. Now its founder wants that impact to reach far further. Take a look.
I was an ex-player in my playing days, and now, by His grace, I now own an academy that metamorphosed into being a team. I have a boys and girls academy. The girls are playing in Nigeria Women Premier League, while the boys are playing in the Nigeria NLO 1. I played stationary stores, I played Concord FC, I played the ones I can remember, Union Bank, and the stuff. I played outside Nigeria, I played in Benin, I played in Egypt, but as God will have it, I have to come back home and start doing this. Right now, I am the leader of Mushi Coaches Council, and most schools in this area, you can see we don't have a standard stadium in Mushi. We use school premises. All these schools allow me to organize tournaments for them, and in the process, I fish out the good ones. A coach must have an eagle eye to identify a star among the lot. So I have the eyes I have the grace and the knowledge to be able to identify this girl is going to be something tomorrow. Like you see now, we are playing a friendly match. Nobody you know in the league that is playing, maybe except 2 people. I'm already preparing them because I know you are here. I am the ladder. Climb me and get to where you want to get to. So I am always prepared to bring another people to climb the ladder too. So if you climb, you go, other people will still be climbing. So the ladder is always busy. My girls have always been around the national team for the past 4 or 5 years now, and they have been doing well. So it has been the female department. My mommy has made me to have passion of blessed memory for women. That women, so there are some women who will stand their ground in life. So I look for those kind of women, and I'm having them too. I send them to school. I send them to learn trade. And some now, my next target now, by His grace, for winning this ITO by His grace, I want to send about 3 girls to coaching course. I want to start producing coaches. I want to give the girls life after football.
A well newly built in a Senegalese village has brought happiness to local villagers who had been struggling with water shortage for long. The well drilling project is part of the initiatives pledged by Chinese President Xi Jinping to boost cooperation with Africa. Take a look.
Early in the morning, Mbek Diam, a local villager, began his routine work of checking the water supply equipment. As an employee of the Chinese construction company CGCOC Group, Diam is responsible for maintaining the new drilled well in his village. The well, part of the Chinese-funded rural well drilling project in Senegal, has brought significant changes to local people's lives. In Africa, access to fresh water is a big problem. Freshwater resources are unevenly distributed with a shortage of safe and reliable water supply facilities. Senegal, the westernmost country on the African continent, has long been plagued by water problem. The country's north is close to the Sahara Desert. Its central and eastern regions are mostly semi-desert regions. In villages far from cities, water supply equipment was poor and dilapidated. Residents often could not get access to clean and safe water. That's how it was in Kajil Balin village. The village had only one well. Residents had to wait in line to fetch water, starting from dawn up till midnight.
Auparavant, ça a été tellement difficile parce qu'il n'avait que les puits. C'est de l'eau potable, mais il n'y avait pas d'entretien.
Awaro bina bi am ci teen bi lan doon wog ci lan doon fanaan di napp muy jeex ñuy tappaatu manki woon nañ ndox trop nga wax dëgg ba forage bi ñeeg léegi moom fajar laa ñëw fi balaa maa ñibbi gée dina jot
ndax fee lañ doon jóge di rooti ci teen yi wala ñu jóge fa di rooti ci robinet yi kër yàlla mais bi forage bi ñëwee ba léegi daal macha allah.
In 2015, at the Johannesburg summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced China will carry out 10 major plans in the next 3 years to boost its cooperation with Africa. In September 2016, Senegalese President Macky Sall, as a leader of guest country, arrived in China's Hangzhou for the G20 summit. As Xi and Sall met, they agreed on the Rural Water Supply Project as one of the measures for implementing the 10 major plans. The Rural Well Drilling Project officially began in Senegal on March 5, 2017, bringing hope to millions of locals struggling with water shortage. In July of the next year, on the eve of his state visit to Senegal, President Xi published a signed article titled Sunu Japo, China and Senegal on the mainstream Senegalese newspaper Le Soleil. The article reads, the Rural Water Supply Project that includes 251 wells and 1,800-kilometer pipelines funded by China will benefit 1/7 of Senegal's population.
Ces projets sont l'expression de notre solidarité et de notre coopération agissante. Je me rappelle qu'au début, quand on parlait de la coopération avec la Chine, on parlait des hôpitaux, des dispensaires, des forages dans le monde rural.
The Rural Well Drilling Project covers 12 of the 14 regions of the country. Each water supply system of the project consists of wells, water towers, pipes, and distribution facilities with a maximum daily water supply capacity of 80,000 cubic meters. The project also created jobs for more than 3,000 local people, including Diam. Diam also saw how hard it was to drill the wells. The workers sometimes had to spend more than 1 week to find a proper location for drilling.
在非洲开展打井项目是非常艰难的，打井项目地点多在农村，这里的地质情况是很复杂的，水位也很深。
Notre énorme difficulté, c'est que c'est les rues, quoi. Pendant la saison de pluie, on a des énormes difficultés pour pouvoir faire des constructions dans le village, parce qu'on n'a pas vraiment de route.
September 20th, 2018 was a big day for Kojeo Balin village as the residents witnessed the completion of the new well. In March 2021, the water supply project passed the acceptance check by the Senegalese government.
今年3月份，打井供水工程已经完全移交给了塞内加尔政府。现在当地村民能够喝上干净充足的饮用水，农业和畜牧业的用水也能够得到保障。
Nous remercions vraiment le gouvernement chinois qui nous a apporté ces forages de bonheur. Vraiment, c'est des forages de bonheur parce qu'auparavant ça a été difficile. Des sincères remerciements au peuple chinois plus particulièrement qui nous sait vraiment faire ces bonheurs-là. On remercie vraiment l'initiative Ceinture et la route.
jël bali ci satisfaction bi nga xamante ne ni am nañ ko ci forage bi.
Since the well was completed, Diam has been fulfilling his responsibilities every day as a well coordinator.
Nous voulons vraiment continuer l'amitié qui est entre le Sénégal et la Chine, puisque nous voulons construire une très bonne future entre nous et nos enfants. Donc ça, pour qu'on puisse le faire, il faut qu'on essaye de comprendre le chinois, d'apprendre pour pouvoir parler chinois et essayer de travailler avec les Chinois. Parce que avec la Chine, pour pouvoir augmenter encore l'amitié qui est entre le Sénégal et la Chine.
我愿郑重重申，中国永远不会忘记非洲国家的深情厚谊，将继续秉持真实亲诚理念和正确义理观，同非洲朋友一道，让中非友好合作精神代代相传，发扬光大。
And with that, we have come to the end of Africa Update for this week. Join us next week for another edition of the program. I am Ayubelia. Thank you for watching.